Greetings all, thank you for joining me on this one. In this video, I'm going to answer one of the most common questions I get on my YouTube videos, and that's how do I find these amazing campsites that I camp for free at, that I show in all my videos. So I'm going to address that. I use a few real simple tools. Of course, the first and foremost is just paper maps and atlases. Benchmark and DeLorme. DeLorme is the red here, Benchmark here. They both have usually Bureau of Land Management and National Forest outlined, as well as some very detailed back roads to access those areas. So those maps are very handy. Of course, they are expensive and they take up space, so I only have a few for states that I'm less familiar with, like Arizona. I don't have one because I'm pretty familiar with the state and all the public lands. And then I'll use a general atlas that usually has all of those national forests. Not necessarily BLM marked so in detail, but the national forest for sure, usually outlined in green, blocked out in green. So paper maps are great, but more common than not, I'm using just my phone. I have an iPhone, but I have an Android phone in the past, and they both will run both the apps that I'm going to show you. Firstly, I use Google Maps. It's the most common map app used by most people, and a lot of people don't realize that there's a lot of free camping areas marked on Google Maps. You just have to zoom in far enough in the area and it will show up. So I'm going to show you how I use Google Maps. And I will mention that there are other specific apps for just finding free camping areas and that, and I tend to shy away from those because they've become so well used, and they use a specific GPS pin coordinate, which brings all those thousands of people that use those apps to that exact location rather than just the general area. And that's how sites become overused. A lot of those apps, those locations have been shut down over the years because they're so well used because of those specific apps. So that's why I really, in my videos, I just share the general location I'm in. I'm in this national forest, which is thousands of acres. It's up to you to go find a place to camp in there. I'm not going to tell you specifically where I'm at because that would just draw people to that specific spot. So I try to be really mindful of that. So the way I'm going to show you how to use these apps, it's hopefully teaching you how to become comfortable finding your own camp spot within these national forests, within these big areas of Bureau of Land Management land. So I'm going to get right into it. We're going to start out with Google Maps. That's primarily my go-to app. I'm always surprised how many camping areas are already marked on Google Maps. It's not stuff I've added, it's just on the app itself. So we're going to get right into that, and then I'll show you a second app after that. And hopefully these tools are something that can help you in your quest to find free camping areas on our public lands here in the U.S. I also will mention that for those of you that aren't that tech savvy, I'm sorry if I move too fast, but I really tried to be as detailed as possible. You'll just have to watch for my little mouse pointer when we go to the screen recording shots. So let's get into it. Okay, so one of the tools I use the most is Google Maps. I have an iPhone which comes with Apple Maps here, but I do not use that ever. I don't care for it. I find Google Maps to be much more useful and have more information on it. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And I'm going to use Lake Havasu City in Arizona as an example here. I'm going to go ahead and flip my phone so it is in landscape mode here. The great thing about Google Maps is this is the basic view here. You can zoom in and see all the roads. The closer you zoom in, they start to appear. And then of course you can go to satellite mode, which lets you see the actual terrain. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit and go up to the north end of town here. I am familiar with this area, and most areas I go to I've already referenced on a map, either a national forest or BLM land that I want to camp on. So I do know, like in Lake Havasu in the north end of town, you can zoom in here. And the great thing about Google Maps, why I like it so much, see when I'm zoomed out here, nothing is showing in this area here. But if you just zoom in a little bit, all of a sudden, look at that, Craggy Wash BLM land camping. I did not add that, that's just on Google Maps. And if you scroll up here a little bit, another one has popped up there, Lone Tree BLM camping area. And on each of those, you can zoom right in and actually see that there are people camped there. It is a camping area. This is right off Highway 95, you can see here. And you can actually click on that little tent there, and more information will come up. You can see pictures, you can click on reviews, read what people have said about camping there, how long ago they put their review there. This one's from 3 months ago. Say they enjoy camping here. It gets more populated in the winter. You can scroll through and get an idea. Oh, there's a van camper there. Get an idea of what the area is like and what people have said about it and how to access it. And navigation-wise, I could click on that and go ahead and hit directions. And from wherever I'm at, I'm in Quartzsite, it would take me up and bring me right to that camping area. I'm not going to do that, so I'm going to go back up to Lake Havasu here. One of the other things you can do on Google Maps that I do quite a bit, and this is how I share my group camps, is if you zoom all the way in, as far as you can zoom in, maybe not all the way, but pretty close. Say I was camped right here where this trailer is. You can push and hold, and it'll drop a pin. That pin there is a GPS coordinate. If you scroll down on Google Maps, you'll see that right there. I can copy and paste that by holding on that, hitting copy. It's copied to my clipboard, and I could text that to somebody. I could save it in my notes, so I have this exact camp spot on record. So I use that quite a bit. And it's also good for cross-referencing on another app that I'll show you here in just a second. So that's Google Maps. Again, I dropped a pin there. It's on my clipboard. So very, very useful. It shows all these camping areas. And I've found just by zooming in different areas I'm exploring, I zoom in far enough and all of a sudden a camping area pops up that I didn't know about. So I found out about a lot of camping just using Google Maps. Okay, and another app that I use in conjunction with Google Maps is this US Public Lands app. It's available for iPhone and Android. It is a pay app, unlike Google Maps, which is free, but it's under $5. I can't tell you the price because I've already purchased it, so the price doesn't show up when I go to the App Store. But I'll click on it. There are a few public lands apps available. I'm going to go ahead and go into landscape mode so we can see a little bit better. If you go over to the settings here, you can scroll all the way down. And the developer is this Hired Gun Software. 2 Steps Beyond is the app that I use. There are some other ones, but you can verify by looking at the developer. This 2 Steps Beyond and this Hired Gun Software you'll see in the notes in the App Store. This has been developed by Technomadia. They're a couple that lives full-time on the road and in their boat, and they help develop this app. It's very useful, so I'm gladly pay the few dollars that it costs. So again, I'm going to use Lake Havasu as an example here. And the way this app works, I'm going to zoom into that same area I was looking at. And this app has a few different features on it. It has the same thing, standard, satellite, has a basic mode I don't ever use. I stay on the satellite. And up here in this corner, this cog gives you a breakdown of what all the colors will be showing the areas. Bureau of Land Management is yellow, U.S. Forest Service. It has quite a few. Corps of Engineers. So I have all of those clicked on. So when I come into the satellite view here, this hide overlay and show overlay down here at the bottom, I have it currently clicked on hide. If you go to show overlay, all of a sudden, if you're in the right area and there's public land, it'll show up. That yellow there is the Bureau of Land Management. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in to where we were before, near Craggy Wash. And you can see Craggy Wash Road right here. It's marked, and it is indeed Bureau of Land Management land. There's a little tent there. I think I added that. You can add pins on this as well. Now when the overlay is on, it's a little hard to see. That's why this function here comes in handy. You can see, okay, yep, there's somebody camped there. If I wasn't familiar with this area, this is where this tool really comes in handy for me. I'm able to open it up, and you can use this caret as well, and it'll show you exactly where you're at. I'm not going to click on that right now because I don't want you to know my current location. But if I was here in Craggy Wash pulling down this dirt road and I was unsure if this was public land, I could hit that caret. It'd zoom in right to where I'm at if I had cell service. And it will, when you show overlay, I'll know, okay, I'm in the yellow. I am on public land. So I'm going to hide that again. Show you some other features. Here are all different pins that I've dropped. And I can make them visible or invisible. and then you could add new pins. So if I was, say, here and I wanted to mark this spot for my records or share it with somebody, I could hit this pin icon up top, and I could either add my own pin by entering the name and latitude and longitude if somebody shared a location with me, or I can go in here and drop my own pin. Okay, so to add my own pin, just took me a second to figure that out. You just push and hold for a second. Then you can enter your pin name. I can put in Craggy Wash there, for example. Add pin, and it's going to add a pin. I don't know why it automatically zooms out, but it'll add a pin right where I pushed and hold on the app. So now that's on this app on record. I can, like I showed before, go into this section here, and you can see label Craggy Wash. It has the coordinates there. I could write those down and send them to somebody and share them, or again, just keep it in the app here. I could also copy these, write this down, and punch it into my Google Apps map, and it would show me there, and I could navigate towards it if I wanted to use the navigation feature. So I don't really want to keep that pin, so I'm going to go back up here. So if you want to remove any pins, you can use this edit function here, and that brings up all this, that Craggy Wash one that I added. I could come in here and copy and paste real easy in this mode, or hit this delete, and I'm just going to get rid of that because I don't want that on there. So again, this is a very, very useful app. Now, one thing to remember with this app is this is just showing you public lands. Now, public lands does not always mean that you're allowed to camp there for free up to 14 days. There can be restrictions in different areas, even though you're on public land. So you need to be mindful of any signage that's in the area, any dirt access road you're taking to get into this public land. You really need to keep a lookout for any sign or fences that you do not cross, because there are public land areas that are not available for camping. They will oftentimes have a sign that says natural restoration in process, do not drive a vehicle, or foot traffic only, no camping. So that is something to be mindful of. It's not 100%. This is just showing you what's technically lands, not necessarily that you can camp there. So that's why I often cross-reference it with other sources. And of course, you can always call your local BLM office or National Forest office, and they will assist you and answer any questions. You don't need to be secretive about dispersed camping. It is totally legal and allowed and encouraged by those services. And it's up to you to look into that and know what you're doing. So this is a good example here up from Craggy Wash. If you go in far enough, there are these areas that are not yellow. That means that it's not public land. It's private land, and you cannot use that for public use. So you need to be mindful of that. So this has come in handy for me in those kind of situations where I've entered an area that said, say, National Forest, and I've gone in far enough that I start seeing signs saying, private property of that. And oftentimes people that do own private property, they don't have it posted well. And it's up to you just to know what is public and what is private. So if you were to zoom in here, like this area here, it's just open terrain, but it's marked as not public land. Now, if you go up a little bit, there's another area where it is, heavily populated. This is Havasu Heights, a little newer town in Lake Havasu City area. And of course, you can see houses and street names, so you'd notice that going into the area. But surrounding it, there is all public land. And again, just because right at this border, it's now public land, doesn't mean you can necessarily camp right there. There may be some signage or fences that don't allow you to do that. So it's up to you to go to a road that's already there. You can hide overlay. See right here, you can see these dirt roads coming off here. That I would assume is an area you'd be able to camp, because if you click on this, you are on BLM land. So it is a tool to use in conjunction with other tools or maps, and it's something that I use quite often to confirm if I am or am not on public land. So that's the U.S. Public Lands app. Okay, so there we are. Those are my 2 secret weapons that I use. I hope that it was helpful for you. And I will mention, I did forget to say in the video there, on Google Maps, when you click on a specific location, a camping area or campground, oftentimes in the little description where the reviews are and the actual GPS coordinates, there will be a little website that you can click on, and that'll take you to the government website and give you some more details on if it's free or not, or if there is a fee, or seasonally when it's open or closed. So clicking on that website link can really help you. And for those of you that are in the Quartzsite, Arizona area currently, I am still doing a group camp, meetup camp, February 3rd through 5th. It's going to be at the Roadrunner camping area. I will be dropping another video here in the next day or two, just before those dates, with an exact GPS coordinate and a video showing you how to get into the location I'll be at. So looking forward to meeting a lot of you and camping out with you. And for the rest of you, I appreciate you joining me in this video. I hope you're doing well, and we'll see you soon. Take care. Peace.